And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua, and our question today is the tech is the next tech unicorn hiding in Latin America? Or better yet, can we leverage global talent? Is it going to be the secret sauce for the next big tech breakthrough? Well, our guest today is doing or trying to do exactly that. Roger Eintos, or Rocher Ainstos, is the co-founder and CEO of Brainly, a software development company that connects top talent from Latin America with projects in the USA. With over 18 years in the software development industry, Roger has worked with more than 150 startup companies and mid-sized companies as well. He founded Brainly 12 years ago to address the common challenge of hiring effective engineering teams. Roger is passionate about showcasing the potential of Latin American talent. Brainly focuses on this, on making collaboration across borders seamless and efficient. And under Roger's leadership, Brainly meticulously vets engineers for both hard and soft skills to ensure excellence. He's dedicated to breaking down the barriers, fostering innovation, and Roger's mission is to help companies save costs while accessing top notch technical talent. And today he joins us. He's going to share to us his story and his successes and where he got here today, how he got here today. Roger, thank you for coming on here. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic, Roger. I love, of course, um, young tech entrepreneurs. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing your name properly, but tech entrepreneurs right now is they are probably the rock stars of the modern age. I would say, you know, but you, Roger, are in Buenos Aires. You are in Latin America. You're not exactly in the United States, so you are a different kind of breed yourself. You have, overcome different kind of challenges and different advantages and disadvantages at the same time. So I like to start off the show. I like to start off the question with a story, or to ask, what is the story of Roger Aintos? I know you were named, we were talking about this prior, you were named after Roger Moore by your parents from James Bond because, they love James Bond so much, they love Roger Moore so much. But more than that, since you were a child, have you always been into software? Have you always known that you were going to into the tech industry? What is the story of Roger Aintos?
Yeah, well, I think it's all started when I bought my first computer. I
Right.
was maybe 10 years old in
Hmm.
that time. It was in 1997, probably, or yeah, 98. And I always knew that I wanted to do something with computers. I didn't know anything
Right.
about coding, about software, but I really enjoyed playing games and being with the
Mhm.
computer. And a couple of years later, I joined a high school, a technical high school, really well known here in Argentina. So I
Right.
decided to choose the software engineering path. So that was the
Wow.
moment where I started coding. I was 15 years old, so it was 20 years ago. Wow, such a long
Mhm.
time.
Wow.
So
A
I
long time.
started coding with a Visual Basic, which right
Mhm.
now it's like an obsolete language, but it was something trendy in those times.
Mhm.
And after graduating from the high school, I decided to start my studies in software engineering here in
Right.
Argentina at the university.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
5 years later, I graduated from the university with my software engineering degree and
Uh-huh.
started working for different kind of companies, software factories, media companies,
Wow.
different kind of companies. Obviously, in the very first time as a software developer,
Uh-huh.
as a junior developer,
Right.
fixing bugs like everyone when they start coding.
Mhm.
Um, and a couple of years later, I
Right.
founded Brainly. Yeah.
Right. Fantastic. So way back, first computer, 1989. 88, 89, perhaps around that time. What games were there? The first StarCraft games were out, probably. What type of games were you playing back then?
Well, I think that one of the first games that I played was Carmen Sandiego. I
Ah, of course.
remember that it was Carmen in the space, so
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
really, really happy learning about the different planets, the solar system.
Hmm.
And I remember
Hmm.
Carmen was a woman that goes
Hmm.
from planet to planet trying to find like bad people that I can't
Yes.
remember, but I think that they were trying to steal things from planets. And
Right. Okay.
some funny fact, I remember that that game used to come like in 7 diskettes, something like that,
Wow.
like
Okay.
in
Okay.
the
Right. Right.
little
Right.
diskettes.
Seven
So
discus.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that. I never did play it, but I've seen my cousins play it, and I know that it came in diskettes as well. That is a
yeah.
throwback. That's a throwback, Roger. That's very very cool. And many people in the software industry or people in the tech industry, we all started with the computers back then. The first generation wave of the computers and games. Um, and this has gone on to inspire different things in their lives, to inspire their career as well. In your case, what was the first thing that inspired you to start Brainly?
That's a good question. I think that was
Hmm.
probably the willing to be my own boss. I didn't start Brainly like with this feeling of trying to change the world. This thing
Hmm.
of helping talent from Latin America to achieve the United States, it's something that
Hmm.
eventually came later. So I
Right.
started with the idea of it was pretty simple as a matter of fact because
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
thought, okay, I'm a software engineer, I'm a software developer, I know how to write code,
Uh-huh.
and there are plenty of people or and companies that need to build their websites, so why not?
Right.
In that time I was working for a company that was going really bad,
Hmm.
so that gave us the perfect fit and time to start doing something with our lives and
Right.
our careers.
Exactly. And of course, like you'd want to, you know, companies going bad, careers not so secure, and this is the perfect time actually to kind of step into that. And it takes a lot of bravery and it takes a lot of courage because you're starting something that is completely on you, right? Like if it fails, if it falls apart, it's just you. You're not gonna get paid. Nothing's gonna happen, and you're probably back to finding another career job. But what were some key challenges you've seen um, precisely with you when you were starting this company? Did you face the same similar challenges now working with startups, mid-sized companies, and when trying, especially when it comes to trying hiring effective engineering teams, right? How did Brainly address this challenge? How did you address these challenges for yourself first? And then how did that translate into Brainly helping address these challenges with other startups as well?
Yeah, the first challenge that we had probably was starting to think in the company because all the
Right.
co-founders were engineers,
Hmm.
so we
Hmm.
didn't know how to build a company. We just knew how to write code, how to help our clients to build a
Yes.
website or
Yes.
design a website,
Hmm.
but we didn't know nothing about building a company,
Of
finance,
course. Hmm.
numbers, taxes, payroll, anything.
Yes.
So we started hiring people, which was something that we knew how to do because
Yes.
before funding Brainly, I used to be the chief of the digital product office in the
Right.
previous
Okay.
company. So
Hmm.
I understood how to recruit talent. So that's something that I've been doing for 15 years probably.
Right.
So
Right.
the first and main challenge was for sure starting to build a company from the business point of view, not from the technological
Hmm.
technological point of view.
Uh-huh. So that's always how common, right? How common is a scenario where software developers just come together and then they have an idea for a company, and then wait, no one knows how to start a company. We're all just developers, right? We're all just programmers. That's just quite a common thread in the story, and so many people uh, tell those stories, and so many. I think there are more stories that aren't told, that tech companies trying and failing and starting and failing. But among all of that, you know, bravely, you and your team came on top, and were able to solidify themselves to be present when it comes to that tech. It's a huge space, right? It's a huge tech
Yeah.
industry space, even in Argentina, even in Latin America. But you were able to establish yourself, so to speak. um, you're emphasizing, I understand, the quality in Latin America. When it comes to Latin American talent, software engineers, what makes Latin America talent stand out in the region? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm mistaken, of course, when it comes to software engineering, when it comes to tech, you don't really talk about Latin America. It's not the first locations that come to mind, right? No, you mostly you talk about India or
Yeah.
Silicon Valley, right? But why Latin America in particular? Why is the region sourcing a good source for tech talent, and how does it compare to other regions in the world?
Yeah, when it comes to Argentina, especially, we have
Mhm.
amazing universities and amazing
Yes.
schools. So the level in
Yes.
Argentina, it's really high. So that's why we create amazing talent. And
Hmm.
the second thing that I think that it's something common across Latin America. It's the word
Hmm.
crisis. We have been living in a crisis, like
Yes.
economical
Of
crisis and
course.
political
Hmm.
crisis forever. I mean, I'm
Forever.
35, and right now Argentina is going through a crisis. We have
Again.
300% of inflation, 300 in a
Oh,
year. That's a lot,
a lot.
obviously.
Hmm.
And probably this is my third or fourth crisis. So that's something that I'm sure that make us being like highly resilient and being different because we get used to go through those crises. So if you talk with someone who maybe I don't know work in a security in the police
Hmm.
or whatever in Argentina, they will probably
Hmm.
know about stocks, for instance, or about
Oh.
how to invest in I know interactive broker or Robinhood or whatever. Or even here in Argentina, we have platforms that help you invest money in stocks in the states. So that's why they most of them they have a salary, and the
Uh-huh.
salary is not enough to
Of
pay
course.
the rent and all the expenses.
Hmm.
So they have to figure out how to make their money,
Hmm.
make the most from their money. So
Precisely.
that's something that obviously don't happen to developers or engineers
Hmm.
because they have
Hmm.
amazing salaries
Hmm.
for if you compare them against the rest of Argentina. But that kind of culture, that kind of need of reinvent yourself and try to figure out how to do it because of the crisis, because of the country, I
Hmm.
think that those things force ourselves to be different. So that's why if you speak with an engineer from Latin America, from Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, or you speak with a developer or engineer from India, you will find from the very first moment the difference between the cultures.
Yes.
Obviously the cultural alignment between Argentina and the States, it's
Hmm.
really amazing because we grew
Yes. Of
up
course.
watching The Simpsons,
Yes.
Rocky,
Western films.
Hollywood, Back to the Future,
Yes.
all the
Hmm.
films, eating McDonald's.
Yes.
so we are really close when it comes
Hmm.
to culture.
Hmm. So not only is there a cultural connection as well with America, United States, and Latin America and Argentina, you know, that allows you guys to be able to seamlessly put together talent and companies together. But at the same time, you talk about the resilience that having to go through all these crises, and you're always having to learn how to make ends meet. And yes, it's. I don't think I've ever heard of Argentina not ever going through some sort of crisis. Always in the news for that, and it's the disadvantage. Of course, it's pretty sad that there are a lot of uh, things happening on that side of the world. But it's great
Yeah.
news that your quality of education has maintained high standards, and that you have actually developed this sort of resilience, and this has contributed to the quality of Latin American talent. I love that. I love the story behind that. And how do you think, when it comes to your place as a company, a strong focus on culture, a remote work employee experience, how do you think this attitude and resilience also contributes to that culture?
I before that, before answering that, I would like to give you two
Oh, please.
extra like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
highlights that I think that make a lot of sense. For instance, Argentina is the country in Latin America with most Nobel prizes. We have five Nobel
I did
prizes,
not
for
know
instance.
that. Wow, I did not
And,
know
and
that.
another something that it's interesting that we are also the country from Latin America with more unicorns per person. We have 11 unicorns, which is the most amount of unicorns per person in Latin America.
Wow.
So a lot of great things are happening here. We rank number one when it comes to English speaking skills,
Hmm.
and we rank in the top three for technical skills too. So and obviously the time zone. There are many things, great things that help us
Precisely.
to take advantage
Precisely.
of this amazing opportunity that we have.
That's
And
fascinating. Before you get into the question I asked, first off, most number of Nobel Prize winners in any Latin American countries, the most number of uni degrees per person on average is fascinating. Did you say something like 11 or 12 per person?
no,
That
no, no.
is
11 unicorns
okay.
in total. But
Okay,
if
okay, okay.
if you measure them per person, we are the country that have the most unicorns per person.
Okay, okay, that's still pretty fascinating, and
Yeah,
it really shows character and resilience in the midst of disadvantages, right? Making the most out of the situation. And I love that you guys maintain the quality of education despite what is happening around everyone. It is still, you know, a focal point in the lives of the people over in Argentina. I love that. I love that. Yeah,
yeah.
going back to the question,
Going back
how
to
do
the
you think?
question,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, I think that the biggest thing that our team shows when it comes to show this pushback approach, this character that they have, is that we are not only software developers, we are also partners for clients. And for partners, I mean that you will find in our team someone who will challenge you. Not only the project managers, the quality assurance, but also the designers, the software engineers. Everyone will be challenging you and your product in a healthy way, obviously, because our vision is that we need our clients to succeed. Because if you succeed, and you keep growing, we will keep growing with you.
Of course, of course, and
So
that is
it's
right.
really important to print that approach, that way of be and working from the team, from me, from
Hmm.
the CEO until the junior developer,
Yes, of
everyone.
course. We call it as above, so below, right? So it all starts from the top. If
Yeah,
if everyone works together, the culture flows down, and everyone emphasizes a strong work culture, a remote work and employee experience. But again, this all comes back to actually the character and resilience of the people from Argentina, because you develop having to you have to work together. We have to work together to these disadvantages, and you've also now successfully translated that into a company culture where you also share this same kind of attitude to the companies that you partnered with. You telling them like, "Hey, we're here. We'll work with you. We'll put this together, and you can be assured that we are, collaborative. We're team workers.
Yeah.
We're team players." And I love that. I love it. It really shows. It really reflects how much of why it explains the success behind Brainly and what you guys have built with you and your team. You've worked with over 150 startup companies. Can you share a success story? I love stories, business story of the week, right? Can you share a success story where Brainly's involvement made a significant impact on a client's project or a client's business growth?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I have a nice story that I always like to tell, and it's that 2 years ago, maybe three, we started working with a client,
Mhm.
and they started with a B2C approach,
Right.
and they raised a pre-seed round. This was maybe in 2019, yeah, because it was
Right.
before COVID. So they raised money, um, and we started working with them, partnering up with them for
Yes.
developing the product, the digital product, right?
Right. Hmm.
And maybe a year later, they realized that they had to pivot really really quick and change
Wow.
their business from B2C to B2B, because they
Uh-huh.
were in the head and in the ed tech space.
Yes.
And the power of the architecture that we had built, and the
Right.
power of the design and the patterns and the way of thinking the software that we did, allowed that project to pivot in a month. After a year of
In a month.
work, in a
Wow.
month. After a year of work, they completely changed the product in a month
Hmm.
with the same
Hmm.
team, with only one developer. Um, that's maybe not like a successful story from the business point of view, but I think that it is from the technological point of view, and it
Right.
shows the difference between working with a really like an amazing partner that not only provide developers but also provide knowledge, expertise, and more than 20 years working with software. And maybe I know if it was really a must to have the ability to change
Right.
that business model. Otherwise,
Right.
they would probably die.
Of
And
course.
they were able to do it thanks to the architecture, to the platform that we had built. So that was amazing, and something really that made us like really proud of the team, the
Wow.
whole team, because the team is not only
Of
the
course.
engineering team. The team is it's always the client and the
Hmm.
engineering team. We are all in the same boat.
Hmm. You are, and this is a reflection of the experience that you've garnered, and the expertise that you collected, and the teamwork again that you have strongly focused in your culture. That is very fascinating. I love that, like turning a company around, practically saving them, and in such a short time. Also, the pivot is always very difficult. You pivot like that in a tech space, you're gonna kill yourself off, and you've actually
Yeah.
made good. Hmm.
And
So
something connected to the thing that we talked
go
before
ahead.
this is that the ability that people from Argentina, from Latin America, that they have to work in a changing environment, it's
Right.
something amazing for these cases, because they
Of
are
course.
really really prepared to pivot and
Hmm.
change. And it's something
Hmm.
that, I mean, it's software project, it's something dynamic, that it's changing all the time. So you have not to be like a robot machine, and you have to be really prepared to change your mind and understand that the thing that you have been doing, it's done, and you have to change and start doing another thing. Even more
Of
if you are
course.
working with a startup.
Especially in the tech space as well, because everything is changing, especially harder when you're a startup because you're just starting and then everything's already changing all around you. It
Yeah.
must be incredibly challenging. And Roger, you and your team has successfully navigated these challenges not only for yourselves but also for these companies around the world, particularly the United States, is something to be proud of. Coming from and being able to also put emphasis and put attention to the talent in Latin America, I think is something very remarkable and very, commendable success. And I wish you nothing more but success for Brainly and for your team. Roger, I would love to give you this opportunity. Where can we learn more about Brainly? What do you do? Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? Are you on any socials? Are you active on LinkedIn? Where can we
Yeah.
connect and keep in touch with Roger Aintas?
Yeah, well, you can find me in LinkedIn with my name. I think that it will be like spelled in the episode. Probably it's Roger Ainstos,
Yes,
and you can also reach us in our webpage, which is brainly.com.
yes.
And I'm also active in Twitter, where right now is X, but I think everyone it's still
Still
calling
wants to
it
call it Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah, it will be Twitter forever.
Forever.
So yeah.
All right, Roger. It's been a great time. I'm just very glad to. I think you're the first guest I interviewed in from Argentina, and particularly from Latin America. I think that's very cool. I learned so much today about the people from Argentina, and I'm just very happy that you have found success. You've established yourself as a renowned company to a sought after talent, you know, and you are you know putting your own people, your own team into the pedestal. You're putting them, you're featuring everyone, and it's just a great story to tell. And I'm glad that you came on here to tell all of that. And Roger, before we put this to a close, is there anything you would like to leave the audiences, a word of advice or wisdom, or any final advice for startup entrepreneurs and people who want to be in the same space as you are? Let us know and take us home.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this space. It's amazing to have this
Mhm.
kind of talks with entrepreneurs. Um, my wish or my advice is for companies in the States to start
Mhm.
looking at Latin America.
Right. Of course.
If I'm meeting so much people that they are working with Latin America, but I also meet with so many people that they know or they heard about Latin America, but they are afraid of going to Latin America because they get used to go to India, but they are maybe sick of the time zone different, which is a
Yes.
killing thing. So if you are afraid of coming to Latin America, just break that barrier and come,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's really amazing, and you will find amazing talent for sure. I can promise you.
Mhm.
Uh, no matter if you work with Brainly or not, you will find amazing talent. And for the people that want to be in my space, or maybe
Mhm.
starting a startup
Mhm.
or some endeavor, um, I always say that my word is patient. Be patient, because
Patient.
being an entrepreneur, it's not easy.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's my profession, and it's something that I really love, but it's not easy. You have to be
Yes.
ready for go in the to ride the roller coaster, and you will
Yes.
have
Yes.
sometimes where you will be at the top of the wall and you will feel
Mhm.
that you are Steve Jobs, and there are other times that you feel miserable and why I'm and you ask yourself if you're the correct person for the role for the company.
Yes,
So
of
that's
course.
something normal,
Mhm.
and you have to be ready to deal with that.
Right. That's fantastic. Very, very great, advice. Whether or not you're in the tech space, whatever space you are in, as an entrepreneur, be patient, be ready, um, fight that self doubt. Get rid of that self doubt. And again, for all our audience and listeners out there, Roger, you brought Brinkley and Latin American talent into the forefront, and it's time to break that barrier. It's time to break that notion that you can only find good talent, good tech talent in India or the United States or maybe in the Philippines as well, but you can also find them in Argentina, and that is because of the high quality education and the resilience that your people, your team have built throughout the years and throughout their lives. Roger, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your stories and your insight. It has been an honor. It has been great. I will keep in touch. Let's keep in touch, and let I invite
Yeah,
our audience listeners to visit your site, connect with Roger, and we'll see you when we see you. Roger, thank you so much for coming on here.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you.